Welcome to the MSDW podcast. I'm Jason Gumpert, editor at msdynamicsworld.com. On this episode, we are talking about the partner opportunities around the Microsoft Power Platform. I'm joined by two members of the Stratos Cloud Alliance team, that is Velocio's Microsoft Partner Program. I have with me Director of Channel Development Scott May and Cloud Development Architect Rod Donovan. This episode is sponsored by Stratos Cloud, and when we talk about Power Platform today, we're referring to really a rapidly expanding set of tools and services that cover application development, process automation, integration, data management, BI and reporting, portals, AI tools, bots, and more. It's a lot to cover, and for this conversation, we're focusing on how Dynamics partners are investing in Power Platform for their own businesses in terms of skills, IP development, and consulting service strategy, and what these decisions will look like in terms of client services and client outcomes. Scott and Rod also tell us about the work that Stratos Cloud has done over the Power Platform's life so far. Rod was part of an early group hired by Microsoft to help other partners around the world start ramping up on the technology, and he recounts some of the earliest reactions and how that has changed over time. Okay, well, Rod, Scott, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks for having us, Jason. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's a great topic for this conversation. Power Platform has been around for quite a long time now. But, when it first came out, and as it's been sort of evolving, often you hear the term citizen developer to describe what a lot of the services are really meant for. And upon first hearing that, you might think, well, it's really all for Microsoft end customers. It's a product just for them. It's not really something that the channel has anything to do with. Is that true? And how should people be looking at kind of the reality of what Power Platform is all about?
Yeah, I'll take a first shot at that, and then Rod can go through and provide some color. I mean, in all actuality, the Power Platform, right? I mean, its growth is tremendous. Its power is continuing to grow by leaps and bounds. So the capability of it is significant, and really the capability for somebody who is kind of a novice citizen developer, that's quite a daunting task, right? And certainly, there are probably opportunities where a client could go through and take some of that and build a small application on their own. But what we're seeing most of the time, Jason, is that partners and their clients who are introducing Power Platform to them, the projects that they want to do, the capabilities needed for that typically extend beyond the capabilities that the client either has or the capabilities that they want to invest, the time to get up to speed, right? And what we're seeing is that the client wants to rely on their partner to be able to have that expertise, to help them because it's more efficient, right? They're going to be more efficient at going through and getting, an application, in the Power Platform space, developed for them. The partner can help really focus the solution because of its vast kind of capabilities. The partner that understands it can really go through and help focus, what requirements the client needs and really be able to bring kind of that, professional services, to the client. And, what we're seeing, it's not necessarily only the capabilities, Jason, it's the time, right? So it's not necessarily that the clients can't go through and, get themselves up to speed eventually, but it's the time. And typically, clients want to go through and get their project or, their requirements done quickly and efficiently. And, they don't necessarily have all the time in the world to figure it out all on their own. And that's really where they're leaning on their partner for their partner to go through and be able to help them with that. They may start out with a small project, but then go through and, get into a situation where they need more kind of advanced knowledge, and, they're going to look to their partner to go through and help, work with them on it. So, that's kind of what we're seeing out of the gate, right? With the partners working with their clients. There are plenty of service opportunities for partners. And Rod, I know you work directly with clients and partners. Maybe you can add some additional to that and, what you've seen as kind of a senior solution architect with the Power Platform.
Jason, your question is right down the middle of where do we fit in with the clients and the partners there are so many different of the opportunities that are available working with everyone, because the Power Platform, you get that concept of that citizen developing, and you can have those citizen developers, and they're doing very micro, they're desk oriented things, making themselves gain efficiencies. But when you expand that out, and we step in as working with the partners, a lot of this is the education and the coaching of, they just need a little bit more knowledge or a little bit more hand holding to get to that next step, to figure out where the system can gain the most efficiencies as they're working through those issues. And it's a perpetual motion machine, is what we're really finding out. Is once you turn that crank once, everyone starts using it and building these little apps, and more little apps, again, increase that efficiency. So it doesn't have to be, hey, let's create a huge monster forecasting system or a proof of concept. Let's start with 5 little things that each one of us here on this phone, on this cast, can have. I need to do this one thing to make my life more efficient, make my job more easier, whatever those little things are. All of those combined up is where a lot of these people start seeing these things. But the more code you know, the better application you can build. So you can start small and do some great things, but once you start tying it to 10 or 12 systems in one particular automate, or one Canvas app that's tying to 6 different databases, you really do need someone like us to come in and help you, educate you, or do some of the work for you. And in all of these engagements, 100% of the time at that closing ceremony of go live, it's those people are educated on how the system works. So that's the other half of that citizen developer. It's not closed black box compiled code anymore. We encourage everyone to come in and take as much as they want to learn to see the system, see how it's working, so that they can then come in, approve, make little incremental changes as their business evolves. This is an evolutionary toolkit. We want to be called for big things and helpful things. I don't want to come in and have to change one field from one value to another because you didn't know how to do it. I want you to have that education so that we're working with you on bigger projects and the greater scheme of things, not little things. Everyone appreciates that kind of self-efficiency, self-education as we're going through these engagements. So it's really great to, whether we're working with some of our partners or down to the client levels, and even, a situation where it is just a citizen of a staff accountant saw us doing something and said, hey, can I pull you aside for a second? I just want to talk about this one thing. And after a 30-minute conversation, they've got a quick answer. So it's great to see that kind of growth in the area as well.
So can you talk a little more about the opportunity to really pull, or maybe the challenge, I should say, of pulling in and getting partners bought into the idea that there is a real opportunity here? How has that experience been for you and your team? I know you've done training and you've worked with a range of different types of partners. Has there been a lot of work on your part to sort of be convincing and to encourage them, or have partners really seized this and run with it? And maybe how has that evolved over time?
Well, I'll go ahead and start again, and then Rod can chime in on his part and what we've been doing. With partners, we're continually trying to go through and show the value of the Power Platform by running what we call app in a day training courses to their organization as a partner to get them more up to speed in regards to the power of it, right? And the complexity and where it can go through and work with clients and how they can go out and position it to clients. So, we've been running to our partners who are interested in getting involved in it, app in a day training, dashboard in a day training courses. And this is really designed to go through and help them understand the power of the Power Platform and how to position it to clients and how they can go through and start those conversations. And then, we encourage them to then take that knowledge out and offer out to their clients, either doing an app in a day or a dashboard in a day training course, to their client base. And we basically can either run that for them or, again, they can go through and run that on their own, and we can be there to support them. And what we've seen, as Rod had mentioned, right, is really once you start showing clients the power of it and what they can do and how they can automate things and the capabilities of the Power Platform, that starts that conversation with those clients about how the partner can help them automate business processes to help provide more of that value added solution, if you will. And so what we're seeing is once partners start to do this process and expose their clients to it, then all of a sudden, as Rod had mentioned, their clients start thinking about, oh, well, how can I improve my desk, or how can I improve this process? And then they come back to the partner to say, hey, we'd like to go through and take this manual process where I'm giving an example, checking trucks in as a distributor and telling the truck what gate to go to create an automated kiosk that the truck driver pulls up to, puts information in, and the kiosk automatically, takes care of that and automates that process, makes it quicker and easier and more efficient. So we've been, as a organization, involved with the Power Platform with Microsoft from the very beginning. And, Rod can talk a little bit more about our experience in working for Microsoft and running Power Platform and Dashboard in a Day training courses across the world, actually, and kind of what experience he's had with, partners and clients and helping them get exposure to it and what he's seen.
Scott, with you mentioned around the world, it was kind of funny. It was one of those things that I always assumed happened, but teaching a class in Dubai or teaching a class in Auckland, New Zealand, and working with those other partners, that everyone had the same questions. And it was a small shop that they're selling a lot of D365, but they've got this opportunity that wants to do some other scenarios. How do they jump into that? How do they bridge that gap where I've got people that can set up sales, Dynamic CE all day long, but they want to do these other things. How do I combine these different scenarios? And this is where that Power Platform came in. But to see people literally at other, 3 corners of the globe, between the U.S., Auckland, and Dubai, everyone had those same needs and questions. So it's definitely, this is that sweet spot in there where this sort of applications can coming in, because the partners, Jason, that we're dealing with are, how do I do this next thing? I've got clients asking for this. We can come in and backstop and coach and help. I think totally we've done almost 60 of those App of the Day, Dashboard of the Day classes so far. And they're a great way to kind of gauge what's going on just with the way people are asking these questions. And everyone has that need. There's that app gap. The software does X, Y, and Z. I wanted to do something else, B and C. How can I tie this in? And you don't have to come out of the gates with that complete solution. You can build it up to what you need and bring it up to the speed as fast as you can run. So it keeps falling in that the more you use it, the more you can do with it. But everyone just wants that first part of education to say, how do I get that kernel of confidence to get in there and say, I can figure the rest of this out? And when you get stuck, then you have the partner support network come back in and say, all right, this is where you're stuck. This is where you need to try X, Y, and Z process. So you're building out those things, but it's identifying what needs to be done. And now you've got the agility to just jump right in and start building these applications to be able to react to them in real time as you're building it and saying, this is fitting that need, or we need to move left or right. So all those directional body English switches that you're going to be using in the middle of a design process, you're building it all the way out. And the clients have those needs, and the partners that we're working with, they have a thirst for the knowledge, or they might just come back in saying, just take care of this. I don't want to, my people are too busy, but this client needs this help. Can you come in and work with us, work through us? And again, all along, we're educating the users as well as the partners on what's going on, so that, the tide raises all boats scenario. It's quite fun to be involved.
Yeah, and Rod, to add to that, I know, we kind of work with partners, where they're, at, whether they're novices or they know, some, and kind of rely on us for, advanced expertise. I know we work with a lot of partners who, come to us with client needs, right, and have kind of done a rapid development, POC, like a proof of concept, right, to help them understand how's that process work.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be that fully baked solution. We can get in for short money, short amounts of time, and start getting that process sped up. And even with those partners, and bringing in some of their partners. Scott, we had that one project where they're introducing us to the partners that they're using, and they want to make their own software better by building this extra app that's going to bolt on. And even go down the full ISV, how do you package this? How would you sell this? Is there a need at the marketplace? What else can this scenario do? But it's designed. The Power Platform is designed for all of those options. I think Microsoft did a great job and got really lucky that it kind of fell in that kind of sweet spot where it's designed to be low code, but it could be expanded into whatever you need it to be.
So I do recall back in a year, maybe even 2 years ago, as more partners were at least talking about Power Platform, especially smaller partners. In the case I'm thinking of, it was ERP focused. These were organizations that were, if not fully allocated, very close to it. They had projects booked out months in advance, really focused on ERP upgrades and enhancements and deployments and so forth. And it was a real debate in a lot of those firms whether to make an additional investment in the new resources that they felt would be required for Power Platform. It sounds like, from what you've been saying, that this is a real challenge, and that there's not one answer, that different firms are handling sort of the delivery of Power Platform related projects and services in different ways. And there's a range of ways to approach that.
Yeah, I mean, what we're seeing, Jason, like you had said, right? There's still partners who are getting into the Power Platform. Not everyone's jumped on and jumped in with both feet. Got some partners who know enough about it to talk to their clients and get opportunities, and they really can't deliver it. And that's where we kind of come in and help them through the whole process. And we've had other partners that we've worked with who have kind of gone through and done what we would consider the introductory training, right? Like going to an app in a day training course or a dashboard in a day training course. That's certainly not going to go through and make you, a senior Power Platform developer. That's going to go through and give you the knowledge to talk more intelligently, with your clients, to start to go through and do some projects with them and start to understand, where as a partner you want to invest, additional time. And then obviously, if there's more complex needs, again, that's where we're kind of coming in with, our Power Platform team of about 20 folks and, helping go through and kind of, fill the gap, if you will, and, work in basically combination with the partner, right? And helping them go through and get a better understanding of working through projects, with them, not just necessarily doing it for them. And so that's kind of where I say we kind of meet the partner where they're at. I think Rod had mentioned earlier the Power Platform and, the in-depthness of it and the updates that keep coming out to it, which make it more and more powerful. It's hard to go through and just keep up, with that, especially just, from a client standpoint, right? And that's where the client is really going through and looking to have their partner be able to assist them with that. And the partner certainly has to make that decision. Do they want to go all in and continue to build out a Power Platform kind of practice? Or do they want to go through and know enough about it to be able to talk to their clients and understand what the Power Platform can do from a solution perspective, and then have a partner that they work with to pull in to help you on those more advanced, robust, complex opportunities. So, Rod, I don't know if you have kind of input on that from our experience, with our Power Platform team and what it takes to go through and kind of maintain, your level of expertise with it. And everything.
You nailed it, Scott. There's probably 30 hours of information generated every day. So mathematically impossible to stay on top of everything without having a large group of people that you can rely on to say, all right, I know Alan's going to be keeping an eye on this. Aaron's going to be looking at this. Mitch is going to be looking at that side of it, so that we can, coalesce all that stuff together to when the client or a partner asks us a specific question, you've got some of that breadth and depth to go backwards and say, all right, I just got hit with this question. This is fantastic. Who can help me out? And you're not just finding people. The user-based community is fantastic, but we've got people on staff that are focusing. And a lot of our partners, Jason, don't have that kind of the resources available for that. But when we do work with those clients, and there is hey, I've been doing CRM for 30 years or ERP for 5, and they have that kernel of interest, we definitely try to nurture that with that person so that every one of the people we interact gains some of that. Again, that I can't say it enough, the confidence of what to look for those efficiency gains, so that when they're talking to the clients, to figure out this is where this can fit in. Again, that area, the identification of it just needs to start one place. And if someone shows interest, we highly encourage that. They don't even have to be a full-blown developer, but if they want to start learning on it, every company, every one of our partners should have someone that has some of this knowledge. And if they don't, we're certainly here to support that for them, to, ancillary tasks along those lines. But when someone has that interest, they'll see those opportunities presented to themselves where they didn't see it yesterday. So there's a lot of possibilities out there, and those resource constraints, they're still there, but they're getting, those hurdles are getting further apart and smaller to jump over.
Jason, just really to add to that, right? We're working with partners that, as you had mentioned, are, ERP, dynamic CRM partners. And I think, the additional value add that we bring in working with partners and their clients is that, we're not just a power platform development shop, right? We understand all of the, business applications and, how Power Platform works with CRM or Business Central or finance and operations, and can kind of bring that process knowledge on the ERP business application side, to help, partners, with their projects, right? To scope it out, to go through and provide insight from, the 60 plus projects that we've worked with partners on, and kind of bring another level of value add to the table from that ERP experience base, and not just, hey, we know Power Platform inside and out.
From an example purposes, Scott, we've got a project going on right now where one of our partners brought us over to talk to their client because they've got a Lotus Notes system. And we, haven't come across Lotus Notes in 12 years. And it's awesome to get in there and say, all right, we've got this new application. We can do this 3 different ways. We first thought it was going to be something SharePoint related or some other things. Then it's like, no, we're going to use Microsoft Teams, and we're going down the latest and greatest opportunity here. And within a couple of weeks, we've got a working model that they can build the rest of their Lotus Notes database off of. It's crazy how effective these things can be when all the cylinders are hitting it. If everything's firing in the right order, it really does make for that efficiency gain.
What is Microsoft's sort of role in all of this? From maybe a partner perspective, does investment in Power Platform and even successes with clients implementing projects that involve Power Apps, Power Automate, custom uses of data? What is Microsoft doing to kind of support partners in making those investments these days, or perhaps through a cloud solution provider, perhaps?
I'll take the first pass at that, right? I mean, originally before, COVID hit, as Rod had mentioned, we were out through Microsoft investing in us to provide Dashboard in a Day and Power Platform in a Day, training courses for free for partners. And, we saw a lot of partners take advantage of that. They're continuing to go through and do a lot of online remote courses as well that, Microsoft is providing. They've got their certification week coming up. I forget exactly when that is. It's in September, where there's a lot of Power Platform training that's going to be free to partners to go through and participate in. Coming out of the Inspire conference in July, their message from Microsoft was, skilling up partners, Jason, right? So Microsoft's making a significant investment in training and certification to get partners skilled up, that they're going to be doing. In addition to that, we as a CSP provider are working with our partners. We've got a 3 Simple Steps Power Platform training course to get partners introduced to Power Platform, teaching them about it, how to position it. If partners are interested in getting their own staff kind of trained, we're offering Dashboard in a Day and Power Platform in a Day training courses that we do for our partners directly. And then, as I'd mentioned before, we take that another step to say if those partners want to offer it out to their clients and do a Dashboard in a Day or a Power Platform in a Day or App in a Day training course, we can do that for their clients. And so, there's a number of different ways that Microsoft's making investments. We're making investments. I mean, the Power Platform is growing significantly. I think it was somewhere like 700% the last year or something of that nature, the growth that they've seen with it. So, I think it is an investment that partners, need to look at and understand how they're going to incorporate it into their business. Are they going to staff themselves up to do it? Are they going to partner with an organization that can help them do it, such as the Stratos Cloud Alliance? And how are they going to introduce it to their clients? Because, if they're not introducing it to their clients, more than likely, there's another partner that probably is doing that. And so partners, by doing it, make themselves stickier with their clients by offering it. and introducing their clients to the solution. And, we're here to really go through and help those partners out in any way, shape, or form that we can with Rod and our whole Power Platform team.
And even if it's coming down to just, Microsoft is, Jason, you asked, what do they also do for the partners abroad? Where is everyone, getting this information? Microsoft is spending an awful lot of energy producing templates and these training materials so that you can get in there and develop the business that you want to develop. If I want to specialize on agriware, there are, things that you can do in other applications you can kind of lean towards to start building out some of those things and say, I want to specialize in doing these 3 different scenarios. But all the templates that are out there, or all the different versions of different things that are out there, are readily consumable to find what is close to what you're looking for. Then you can just bring it down into your tenant and start tweaking it to develop really what you need. So again, a lot of this is just that kernel of introduction to say, let's not be afraid of it. These are what the tools do. These are some of the things you can do with it. A lot of it is just lead by example, where we've got 30 different small apps, a team randomizer to improve the way you have your morning team call, or one person that runs their desk and they develop some really incredibly massive flows of Microsoft Automate flows to move documents between different SharePoint sites and click off stages, just because this person wanted to, gain a few more minutes per day, spent the time to figure it out. And that incremental gain per day ends up at the end of the week, at the end of the month. Things get easier. So it doesn't have to, again, be those big projects. Those little things really can enforce that kind of small development of, let's take small, 10 little things for 10 people. But that then generates everything else. And Microsoft has different templates and examples for every one of the different portions of the Power Platform that you can download and start using for free. It's just there to be used. So Microsoft is doing great from that standpoint of giving you whatever tools you might need, but it's also, you try to avoid that circular conversation of what can it do? Well, what do you need it to do? What can you do? It goes back and forth. But if you have that, identify what that one need is, from that one stake in the ground, you can really branch that off and do infinite number of things for infinite number of people. Pure growth.
Great point. I was just looking through some of my notes. Microsoft had, I think, reported that, which I might be a brand new sort of metric with regard to the earnings, is that revenue for Power Platform was up 84% in Q3 of 2021. I don't have in front of me Q4 data, so maybe I can dig that up later. But yeah, and as you were talking there, it just made me think also of sort of where the roadmaps of the Dynamics products are going, the D365 product especially. I mean, any partner, I would just argue, my personal opinion, any partner that thinks that Power Platform services are outside their scope, I mean, they're encroaching more and more or joining more and more closely, I guess you'd say, with encroaching is not the right word, but sort of getting closer and closer with these products. I mean, whether it's just the pre-built connectors, whether it's, the ability to sort of bring Power Platform development into the standard interfaces in some ways, perhaps bringing flows in various ways, the interaction with Dataverse, whether directly or indirectly. I mean, all these elements are almost unavoidable and are actually getting baked into roadmaps at this point.
You're absolutely correct, Jason. Everything it's not going to go away anytime soon. They're going to be leveraging it. And I mean, the latest version of the Power FX of their programming language and bringing in some of that more, the way that you build Excel macros and things and leveraging some of that technology. They're taking that best of breed and putting everything else behind it. They're never going to have another document management engine. It's going to be SharePoint from here on out until something major happens. But the way that system is being built into everything else, we're seeing the same thing with the Power Platform, where those go to your automate button inside of each one of these applications, because they're all being tied together within that tenant, and you've got Active Directory, structure on top of it with all your security and your Microsoft Graph. All these things are, coming together in multiple ways, in multiple avenues, in multiple time frames as well. So every day we look up and there could be something new that wasn't there yesterday. So it's an exciting time to be in the space, without a doubt.
Yeah, and I just found the number for Q4, Jason, for Dynamics 365. The revenue growth for Q4 was 49%. Continues to grow significantly, and additionally, we're helping partners to capitalize upon that Dynamics 365 growth with Power Platform. Not only kind of in the training area, right? But, we're helping partners who want to introduce it to their clients. We've got a partner portal with pre-built marketing campaigns that they can run to their client base to help them introduce Power Platform. It can be white label branded, messaging that we put together, and they can run as a campaign engine out of our solution. And then obviously, if there's opportunities that get generated from that, we can bring folks in like Rod and others from our team to help in a pre-sales capability to talk to clients about those solutions and have the partner involved and learn kind of along the way with opportunities that get created. So we kind of like to say, as you were just mentioning, partners really need to go through and step in, and they can get started, with the Power Platform and working with us, really with no experience necessary, right? Because that's where we can come in and help the partner where they're at and get opportunities going. We can help them learn more about the Power Platform, get them up to speed, and work with their clients on any opportunities that we help them get generated.
And it makes for every interaction after that much easier, because again, it's that gain of knowledge of seeing how some of the stuff put together, and 3 clients may be selling the same widget, but they've got 3 different businesses and ways to do that. The Power Platform can start, you can see some of the similarities, but also have the explicitness of you need to do it one way and Scott needs to do it another way. And having that, the variation there between those from the working with the partner standpoint, we can normalize some of those things and provide each one of those specific types of support that as needed.
Looking forward, we've talked about a lot of different ways that the partners can approach this and what customers are doing today. As I look forward at what Microsoft seems to have planned, and we touched on this, but the elements of the Power Platform are growing in so many different directions simultaneously, whether it's, like you mentioned, Power FX, just advances on the Dataverse side, growth on either templates or Center of Excellence or other development details and capabilities, automation. We haven't even touched on RPA, which to me is sort of one of the most sort of, to me, interesting sort of consulting type of offerings. But I don't know, any of those or any others that either of you is particularly excited about for the rest of this year or this Microsoft year, whether it's on the capabilities side or perhaps on the programs and business opportunity side.
With the RPA and the fact that you can get that license with Windows 10 now, that they want people to start using it. If you've got any mundane task that you need to just rinse and repeat, how many times a week, Scott, do we make those jokes? All right, you do this once and now you do another 500 times. Those things are days of the past. You can really put those automations in. And Jason, you're right, there's some exciting things going on in there in the way that you can do this. And systems like this would cost $1 million 3 years ago. Now you can get up for a couple of users per month. It's pretty short money that I can reduce 3 people doing a mundane cut and paste task down to a robot that just runs 24/7. Never mind tying it to an AI chatbot where any of your HR questions or running internally or externally, those 101 level questions, you can put technology behind that now and save the headcount or repurpose that headcount to do something more important, more efficiently. Some of those kind of things that are going on now. It's amazing when people come in and say, "Oh, can we do this?" And the answer is, almost always yes. Now we just got to pick which tools in the tool chest to use.
Scott, anything else you would add looking forward?
I would just say that working with partners primarily, right? It's really making sure we're working with partners so that they can go out and understand that the value add that Rod just talked about, that we're going to bring to the clients and what the Power Platform brings to them, right? We've got to take the blinders off, if you will, of being myopic on we do ERP or we do finance or CRM, and really go through and start having those conversations with those clients about business solutions, business processes.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Where we can solve those problems that Rod was talking about. And that's going to go through and build value with that partner and their client. And again, they don't have to be the expert. They just need to really go through and make sure that they understand and can have a conversation with the client, and then bring folks like us who have that deep knowledge, breadth, and depth, and be able to go through and help them develop a solution. And then along the way, if they want to develop that practice and have the time and resources, we can assist them with that as well.
And a lot of the times when we talk to some of the Stratos partners, it's let's just talk about some examples of things that we've just done or just completed, and that getting that seed, that kernel to germinate with those folks of, all right, I can see those 3 examples and I can see 3 clients. I know 3 clients right now that could use something similar, not that exact solution, but something similar. It's just to get those juices flowing of what else can I do? What kind of innovation is available? And how quickly can we get some of these things done? It's a lot of our partners are recognizing some of those things just from that example of an approval process. You can have an incredibly complex approval process or a 2-person approval process, but every company has one. How would you like to make your life easier? Are there automations we can put in there? And again, once you start on one thing, very rarely do we talk to a client 6 months later that they haven't taken the reins and started developing 10 or 11 more. And you mentioned the center of excellence that Microsoft puts out there to be that traffic cop of your tenant. You can see who's being, efficient in your system. So the other side of it is just the management of all these apps and these things going on out there. They're giving you the tools to manage all those things as well and have awareness of where that stuff is going. When you're looking at your SaaS pricing and everything else, you can actually monitor those things. So they just keep making it easier.
Yeah, I mean, it's something where I'm really looking forward to seeing where it continues to grow and evolve. I would love to do, another conversation like this sometime in the future and see how things have progressed for you, your clients, your partners as well, because it's certainly not slowing down. Yeah, so Scott, Rod, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us, Jason.
Yep, Jason, thank you very much. Thanks for everyone who's listening in.
This has been another episode of the MSDW podcast. My thanks to Scott and Rod for joining me. For more information on Stratos Cloud partner offerings, please visit www.dynamics365partner.com. And that's it for this episode. If you want to get in touch with me, you can reach me by email, jgumpert@msdynamicsworld.com. Or you can follow us on LinkedIn and on Twitter for all of our updates. Until next time, this is MS Dynamics World, signing off.